Hey guys, welcome to our reading lesson for today. Let's get started by reading our learning target. I can explain how images support the words in a text to show and describe information. Remember, explain means to make clear with details. We've been talking about some images this week. An image is a picture or illustration in photographs in a text. We've been talking about a specific type of image, that diagram. A diagram is a simple drawing that is used to explain something, okay? We're going to talk about how the diagram supports the words or helps to explain and provide evidence that support the main idea in the text. So we're going to talk about how the diagram supports, explains, and gives details on the words in the text to help to show and describe information, real, true facts. This week we've been reading science articles. Today we're going to read a science article titled Levers and Pulleys by Juliana Green. Okay? All right, so this text is on 2 pages, page 304 and page 305. Make sure that you are looking at the images after you read the words to help you get all the information that this text is providing. Before I send you to read this on your own, there are 2 words that I want us to look at that are going to be important to our text today. The first word is this word. This is the word solid. Now, if we split this word into syllables, it would be solid. But we got to shorten that O here because solid doesn't sound right. So it's solid. A solid is firm and stable in shape. It's not liquid or fluid. The table is solid. It's firm and stable in shape. It doesn't change its shape easily, okay? And then we're going to look at the word motor. Motor is a machine that supplies power to moving parts. The car's motor was overheated. So it's a machine that supplies power to moving parts, okay? All right, guys, so go ahead, read through the text on page 304 and 305. When you're done, unpause the video to continue. All right, guys, what 2 parts make a lever? What 2 parts make a lever? Well, we can look at the diagram. What 2 parts make up the lever? The bar and the fulcrum. It even tells us in our text, a lever is made of a solid bar and a fulcrum. Remember a solid bar? That word solid means that it won't easily change its shape, okay? So that is what a lever is. How are levers and pulleys useful? How are levers and pulleys useful? They help to pull heavy objects or heavy loads, don't they? Here in this picture, this photograph, we can see the boy is using a lever to try to move that heavy rock. In this photograph, we see that on this cargo ship, they're trying to move a piece of cargo with this pulley, okay? All right, guys, now what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to reread the text. Reread means read it again. This time as we're rereading, we're going to focus in on how the illustration and the text work together to support, help to explain each other, okay? All right, so go ahead and take your finger and put it on paragraph number 1 of page 304. Paragraph number 1. Ready, read. What is a machine? You might think it's something that has a motor. Remember, motor means a machine that supplies power to moving parts. You might think it's something that has a motor, but a machine is any tool that helps us move things. 2 simple machines are levers and pulleys. A lever is made of a solid bar and a fulcrum. The fulcrum is the spot that the bar rests on. It is close to the object you are lifting. When one end of the bar goes down, the other end goes up like a seesaw. If one end of the bar is longer than the other, it can be used to lift an object. The object is called the load. With a long, strong lever, you can lift really heavy loads. So let's go ahead and let's stop and let's look at the diagram of using a lever. We have a bar, a fulcrum, and a load. Remember yesterday we talked about the arrows on that wheel and axle, but these arrows aren't going in the same direction. They're going in opposite directions. So what is this arrow showing us right here? Whoops. It's showing us that when the bar goes down, the load goes up, doesn't it? This boy uses a lever to lift a heavy rock. So here this boy has a bar, and we know that his load is the rock. What is this boy's fulcrum? Remember, the text told us that the fulcrum is the spot that the bar rests on. So what is the bar resting on here? It's resting on that sidewalk, isn't it? So that is his fulcrum here. When he pulls the bar down, what's going to happen to the load? It's going to go up. So I took what I learned here in the text. When one end of the bar goes down, the other end goes up like a seesaw. I can see that here. When this side goes down, the diagram tells me when the bar goes down, that the load goes up, okay? Now let's turn and look at page 305, and let's read about the pulley, okay? All right, we're in paragraph number 3 on page 305. Put your helper finger on the first word. Ready, read. A pulley is another kind of machine. It can also be used to lift a load. It is made of a rope and a wheel. The rope passes over the wheel. When you pull down on one end of the rope, the other end goes up. If something is tied to the rope, it goes up too. You might have window blinds that work this way. Machines like these have been used for thousands of years. Many of today's biggest machines are still based on levers and pulleys. So now let's look at the diagram of using a pulley. So here we have the parts, a rope, a wheel, a rope, and a load, okay? What are these arrows telling us? They're going in kind of the same direction. It's showing us that when the rope is pulled down, that whatever's tied to this side of the rope goes up, okay? So when this side is pulled down, this side goes up, and it even tells me that over here. It is made of a rope and a wheel. The rope passes over the wheel, so it's the same rope on both sides. When you pull down on one end of the rope, the other end goes up. So I can easily see that. And they even added some arrows here to this real life photograph, right? When this rope is pulled, the load goes up, okay? It says a crane uses a pulley to lift heavy cargo, okay? All right, so based on what we just read, based on us looking at this diagrams more closely, based on the information that we read, what we're going to do now is we're going to go through and we're going to answer the questions on the next couple of pages. So I'm going to leave my text up. That way I don't have to flip back and forth. You might have to flip back and forth to help you find your evidence to answer. So let's go ahead and look at page 306. We're going to look at question number 1. First answer part A, then answer part B. Okay? Which of the following best tells what a machine is? All right, go ahead and answer number 1. All right, so let's go ahead and let's go through and answer this question, okay? I remembered reading about a machine in paragraph number 1, so I'm going to reread that really quickly to help me. What is a machine? You might think it's something that has a motor, but a machine is any tool that helps us move things. Two simple machines are levers and pulleys. So it tells me that a machine is any tool that helps us move things. So let's look. Anything that has a motor, is that a machine? No, you might think it is, right? But it is not. A tool that helps us move things. It says it right there, doesn't it? But let's put a star beside it and make sure there's not a choice that might give more details. C, tools made with wheels and fulcrums. Now, wheels and fulcrums are a type of simple machine, but that isn't what makes a machine. So no, anything used to lift heavy loads. There are other simple machines that aren't used to lift heavy loads, like the wheel and axle, right? They're not used to lift heavy loads. So that is not true. It did tell us right there in the text that a machine is any tool that helps us move things, okay? Write the words that name two simple machines. So we're looking here for two types of simple machines. All right, go ahead and answer that question. All right, is a motor a simple machine? No. Is a lever a simple machine? Yeah, we read about a lever, right? We even have that diagram here. All right, a fulcrum. Is a fulcrum a simple machine? It's a part of a simple machine, but it is not, it couldn't work without the other part, so no. A pulley. Is a pulley a type of simple machine? That was the one on page 305. Yes, a pulley is a type of simple machine. What about a load? Is a load a simple machine? It's a part of a simple machine, but it is not the simple machine. And pivot. Pivot is the action that it does if it's moving kind of back and forth. So that is not a simple machine. So the two simple machines are lever and pulley. Let's look at question number 2. Look at the diagram of the seesaw on page 304. What does the bar rest on? So use the diagram to tell us what the bar rests on. Does it rest on a wheel? No, we don't even have a wheel in the lever diagram. Does it rest on a load? The load is on the bar, so that doesn't tell us what the bar rests on. No. The fulcrum. Does the bar rest on the fulcrum? It looks that way, doesn't it? Or does it rest on the ground? It rests on that fulcrum C. So here is our fulcrum. There is our bar. We can even see here the bar is resting on the fulcrum right here of the that sidewalk, remember? It said in the text that the fulcrum is the spot that the bar rests on, okay? Great job. Now let's go ahead and let's look at question number 4. Question number 4. I'm sorry, number 3. Number 3. What do the diagrams of a lever and pulley in the article show? What do the diagrams of a lever and a pulley in the article show? Does it show how to make objects easier to move, how to have fun with a simple machine, how to use a rope to lift something, how to use a bar to move something? So we're looking at both of the diagrams of the lever and the pulley. So here, D, how to use a bar to move something, that was only a lever. The pulley doesn't have a bar. How to use a rope to lift something. The pulley has a rope, but the lever doesn't. How to have fun with a simple machine, or how to make objects easier to move. Did those diagrams show you how fun it was to use a simple machine? The photographs kind of showed us that, but the diagrams did not. The diagrams did, however, show how to make objects easier to move, okay? All right, now let's go on to number 4. Look carefully at the diagram showing a person moving a rock, okay? So here we have the illustration of the person moving a rock. They're calling it a diagram, but it's not really giving many, it's not explaining it like this one did, so I would call this a photograph. Look carefully at the diagram showing a person moving a rock. What does it show about using a lever to lift something? A, the center of the bar should rest on the fulcrum. The bar should be long and very heavy. The fulcrum should be closer to the person. The fulcrum should be closer to the load. So what is it telling us here? Is it telling us that the center of the bar should rest on the fulcrum? No, the center of the bar would be up here by the boy's hand. So that's not telling us where, how to use the lever to lift. The bar should be long and very heavy. Does it show us that the bar is very heavy? That little boy's picking it up, so it probably isn't very heavy. The fulcrum should be closer to the person. Is the fulcrum close to the person? Is the place where the bar is resting close to the person? No. D, the fulcrum should be closer to the load. Is the fulcrum, the place where the bar is resting, close to the load? Yes, it is. So D is the correct answer. Hey guys, let's go ahead and do number 5. How do the text and the diagrams help you understand the meaning of load? So what does the text say about load? Well, here in paragraph number 2, it says the object is called the load. So the text says an object is a load. Okay. Well, what do the diagrams show us about the load? We have the diagram here and then the diagram on page 305. What do they show us about a load? They show us that it's the thing that's being lifted, right? So the diagram shows us that the load is being lifted. So we understand that a load is an object that can be lifted, okay? All right, number 6. How does the diagram of the pulley help you understand how to use a pulley? How does the diagram of the pulley help you understand how to use a pulley? So go ahead and look on page 305 of the diagram of a pulley. It shows how to attach the object to the rope. It shows how pulling down on the rope lifts the object. It shows how fast the wheel has to turn. It shows how hard a person needs to pull. Okay, now all of these things are included in that diagram, right? But we have to think about what is the diagram showing us how to do or what to do. Is it showing us how to attach the rope to an object? It's not telling us how to tie the rope to that object. Is it showing us how to pull down on the rope and lift the object? Remember, that's what those arrows showed. Let's put a star beside that. It shows how fast the wheel has to turn. No, we don't know how fast the wheel has to turn. It shows how hard a person needs to pull. Well, this one doesn't have a person and neither does this one. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a person that pulls. But the diagram of the pulley does show us that when the rope is pulled, the object goes up. Okay? All right, now let's look at number 7. Number 7, we're going to have to label some parts here. It says, write the parts under pulley or lever. One part will be used twice. So we're going to take the objects, rope, bar, load, wheel, and fulcrum, and tell if it was used for the pulley, the lever, or one will be used for both. So let's just go ahead and start rope. Is the rope used for the pulley or the lever? The rope is used for the pulley. All right. The bar. Is the bar used for the lever or the pulley? The bar is used for the lever. The load. Is it used for the lever or the pulley or both? It is used for both. Both of them have a load that they are trying to move. All right, wheel. Which one has a wheel? The lever or the pulley? The pulley has a wheel. And the fulcrum. Does the fulcrum have, is the fulcrum on the pulley or the lever? On the lever. Great job, guys. That was practicing using those diagrams, okay? Now we need to plan our response to answer the question, how? Remember, how means in the way or the way that something is done. In what way are levers and pulleys used to move things? So how are levers and pulleys used to move things? Planning our response says, look again at the article. Think about the steps you would follow to use each tool. Make a list of the steps. So I'm going to just quickly make a list. Pulley and lever. All right, if I'm going to use the lever, what steps do I need to take to use this tool? Well, I need to have a load that needs to be lifted. I need to have, the steps we would follow. So I need to have a load that needs to be lifted. The rope needs to be pulled. And then when the rope is pulled, the object is lifted. All right, now let's look at the lever. The first thing we need is a load. All right, what do we need to do to be able to use a lever? We need to put the bar on the fulcrum. We need to put the bar under the load. And then we need to pull down, right? Pull the bar down. All right, now we should be able to explain how levers and pulleys are used to move things. So think about the list that we made and explain how the lever and the pulley are used to move things. All right, so now that we have the list of things that we need to do in order to be able to use these simple machines, let's answer the question, how are levers and pulleys used to move things? So we need to answer the question. Levers and pulleys are simple machines that are used to move things. Now we're going to explain how the pulley is used, and then we'll explain how the lever is used. So the pulley is used by a rope over a wheel being pulled against the load. Okay? All right, now how is the lever used? The lever is used by the bar being under the load and against the fulcrum to push the object. Okay? So let's make sure that we answered that question. How are levers and pulleys used to move things? The lever and pulley are simple machines that are used to move things. The pulley is used by a rope over a wheel being pulled against the load. The lever is used by the bar being under the load and against the fulcrum to push the object. All right, guys, great job. Keep practicing how to support the diagram in the words in the text and helping them to work together as you are reading independently.